You just got a Squarespace template. The layout is perfect, the copywriting fits your business, but fonts aren't quite there yet, and you know you need to update colors. How do you take a template and restyle it so it's completely yours? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly that, tips straight from a professional designer. Hi, I'm Olga. I run Applet Studio. It's a Squarespace template shop, and I also have courses for web designers and small business owners. So in this video, I'm going to show you my exact process of how I restyle Squarespace templates for my custom web design clients. So if you're a designer who is watching this, I'm going to give you some tips on how to make your process more streamlined. And if you're a business owner and you bought a template and you want to restyle it yourself, this is how to do it and what to pay attention to, and just like little tricks and tips on how to make it more convenient for you. First, let me point you to some resources. So when you look at my website, you can look at the templates, obviously, but we also have a showcase, which is an extensive library of different designs that were created by other people, not us. So other designers or other business owners. And this showcase is organized by the template. So you can see how people envisioned their businesses based on a particular template. We also have a really extensive tutorial on how to customize a premium Squarespace template in a form of a blog post, an article. So it's really long and detailed, and it basically covers everything you need to know on how to customize a template. So let's look at the templates. The biggest mistake that people do when they get started with a template is they will immediately change the colors in the default palette and they will replace the logo. They will put their logo in there. So this is the wrong way to do it, and you have to actually do some planning before you jump into the Squarespace template and start tweaking things. You need to study the structure, and you need to study how the colors are applied and what kind of fonts are applied and how you can recreate similar logic with different colors, different fonts, but to maintain this template design, because it was set up by a professional designer, everything is laid out nicely for you, and you have to make use of these incredible assets. I have now made duplicates of two of my best-selling templates that are actually really versatile and easy to tweak for yourself. It's Launch Day and Fidelity. So what happens, and what the majority of people do, and this is the wrong way to do it. So you get this template, or let's say you have duplicated one of the default templates in the Squarespace's own template shop. So you will go here and you have all of these colors set up. You see, they have been translated into section color themes. If you're new to Squarespace, the way Squarespace operates is that each section has a color theme applied to it. And if you go inside, you can change all of these individual colors, but they also pick up the colors from the palette, and the palette is set up using a particular logic. So if you click edit the palette, so this color at the center is supposed to be highlight color. The colors on the right side, this is supposed to be black color, and this is supposed to be white color. In my case, I replaced it with very pale beige off-white on purpose, actually. And this is the neutral color, and this is the dark highlight color. So if you take these colors, I'm gonna click edit palette and just replace it with one of the presets. Yes, it's working. It's actually working with a palette. And you can go ahead and click through all of these presets and see how they look. But then if you do that and you change it and you save it, you will lose that original palette that I gave you, and it's gonna be harder for you to bring it back. So I'm gonna click exit and not save it. So the same with Fidelity. The color palette is set up a certain way. So as you can see here, I have the white color is actually the white color as intended. The black is the black. I have a neon highlight, I have a neutral color, and I have a dark highlight color. In this case, it's kind of a neutral dark color that plays the role of just a color that's like dark, but I can overlay stuff on it to create darker sections. So this section is darker. So the logic is always the following. You have one highlight color, one bright color, and then the rest of the colors in your palette are neutrals. So let's say if you randomly change this to blue, it's going to ruin the whole color logic of the template. So don't do that. And let's say I'm gonna like randomly click on this, and you have to approach this with strategy. And the strategy is change the highlight color into something acceptable to you, and tweak the neutral colors into something that's working with your brand. So let me show you how I could recolor both of these templates so they are very neutral blue templates. But not random blue, let's make it purposeful. So I'm going into Unsplash and I'm going to put pictures of this young man. We'll use them as our pictures that we're gonna use in both of these designs. So I'm gonna paste them into a Figma file, a new Figma file that I created. You can just paste them into Canva, paste your pictures into Canva to see how, you need to have a cohesive collection of images that work with your colors. So let's use these, this and this. And there's like a top shot. Also, let's go to Pinterest and look for a blue palette. So I'll go into my Pinterest and I'm going to, the blue website, or you can also search for blue color palette. Let's pick something completely random so that I can explain the logic. And once you understand the logic, you'll be able to recolor any Squarespace template. So let's pick this one. Okay, here are our images, and here's our palette. Palette actually goes with these images because they have blue colors in them and they have white space. So I'm gonna just create the rectangles. So I need 5 rectangles. So the color at the center is going to be my highlight color. And let's make it this blue color. Actually, let's tweak it so it's more bright. Like almost neon blue. This color is a neutral color. So it's either really pale blue or beige. This color is going to be white, this color is going to be black, and this is going to be dark highlight or dark neutral. So this color actually works here. And let's try different versions of it. So let's say this is going to be the original blue that we have, and also let's have 2 neutrals. So the darker neutral and the lighter neutral. And let's bring these into templates. And this one is actually tricky because this yellow is a lighter color and we overlay text on top of it. And in this case, I think it's going to be easier to recolor. So let's try them out here without saving anything. Okay, for the purposes of this exercise, let me first tweak this top image so that you can see. I'm gonna go ahead, delete this image, and then export this one. Just export it. No, doesn't matter. Which one? Mentality hero. Export this one. You'll see the mess that I have in my downloads folder. My downloads folder is sort of like this trash can where everything goes, and then I will delete it. So it's overlaying on his face, which is not good. Okay, let's go to site styles and replace the colors. So I'm not editing the color themes. I can edit further and add more shades, more colors. I'm just editing the logic here. So this is the highlight that I'm gonna try, see how it looks. This is the dark color. And this is the neutral color. As you can see, let's try the neutral, let's try another one for the neutral color. So the white has more contrast on top of it. And let's try a more neutral highlight too and see how it looks. Now I might want to go inside and tweak something. So for example, this is white and I want it to be like, this is dark and I want it to be white. This thing right here, I want it to have a stroke color that I need. Also this is white. So let's put all of these things down, bring them down so they are not on his face. I'm gonna recolor this, turn this blue, and actually make the height smaller. All right, we have done this one. And what about the launch day? Launch day is trickier. So let me use this highlight. This highlight. The darker shade, which is almost like the one that I have here in the palette. Sometimes all you need to do is change one color and keep the neutrals. I would actually prefer this color to be more muted. Like this. And it will look gorgeous if it's green, actually, like so. So you get the logic, or teal actually. Now it's all done, and let's tweak this top section to have another background visual. So instead of video, let's use an image, although you could totally use the video. But again, this guy's face, well, let's go back to Unsplash and look for a different image. So the logic of Unsplash, let's say I open this and it's showing me similar images with similar colors. I think I like this one. Let me copy it, bring it into Figma. I always like to save everything in Figma so that I see it all in the one place. I can pick colors from it and I can plan my visuals. So let's go into launch day and replace this image here. So as you can see, by spending 5 minutes on planning and thinking about how the palette is set up and how we can strategically replace these colors, we did a great job of keeping the template's logic, making use of all these assets, and just making our lives much easier. So next, we need to replace the logo. And if I just upload any random logo, so you see your header space is really limited and the logo has certain dimensions. So this is written in a font. So it's actually a font. Let's say your business name is, I don't know, Applet Consulting. So it's kind of long And let's say you worked with a brand designer and they give you this elaborate stamp logo. Then you put it here and it's going to push it down. It's going to push your whole header down. So your goal is to have a logo that's horizontal and it has like certain height so that you save this precious space right here. So let me, for the purposes of this exercise, let me make a logo. So let's say Applet Consulting. Let's say I'm launching another consulting business and it's going to be my logo written in one of the fonts. And I'm going to export this as a PNG file. Then come over here and replace it. Edit the height so it's smaller, and edit the height on mobile too. So I think my logo could be even smaller. In this case, I just need to export a smaller file. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back here and replace it again to see how it's gonna look. If you're launching your first business website, I suggest you create your logo using font. And here in Squarespace, if you go back to Site Styles and go back to Fonts and click Assign Styles, you can change the header logo font. So let's use paragraph, size custom, custom, heading, custom size. So how do we go about replacing the fonts in both of these templates? So you also need to study the typography. So in this case, we have a whole bunch of type settings here. So let's go back to Site Styles and look at the typography. So we have headings. Heading is a Ivy Presto display. And you can see heading 1 is super huge. And it's this accent heading that I'm applying over with CSS. If you go over into the CSS, which is under pages, you'll see all of my CSS is actually documented. So the H1 font is going to take the meta font family, which is the font family over here. This is a bit tricky, but it's always explained in the template documentation. So under miscellaneous, we have a Barlow condensed. If you wanted to have something else, let's say outfit, you can change it over here. So one of the headline fonts is this huge accent font. So I just tweaked it using the meta, the font family for meta. Say I'm using outfit, and outfit is the paragraph font. So how do you restyle the template that the fonts maintain personality, but you're using your own fonts? The advice is this: if you can keep the template fonts and just keep reusing them, this is the best way to do it if you want to make most of the template. If you want to tweak it just slightly, just replace the headline font with something else. So instead of Ivy Presto, I could use Fright. It's in the additional fonts now, but it's a very similar font. Gonna have this editorial vibe to it. So you're using the template, your font is different, but you're maintaining the logic. Or Fright and Neo Pro has more personality, but also you maintain the template's logic. If we go into Fidelity to look at the fonts in the Fidelity are actually much simpler. So there's only the headline font works as a character font. It adds character, it adds personality. And the paragraph font is this neutral font that's readable, that's easy to understand, easy to digest. So if you were to replace a font in the template, just replace the headline font and that's it. So actually, let's change it into Ivy Presto. Let's change it into Ivy mode. You see, it works well with a paragraph font. It has enough personality and it doesn't ruin the template logic. Of course, we need to go back here and like tweak some things so this is not visible on top of the blue background. But that's how you replace the fonts. And the final step to restyling a template, you need to save all of your sections that you have in the template into favorites so that you don't lose them. Once you do all of this work and you replace the fonts, the colors, you need to study the layout and then build out your content. And my biggest suggestion is write your content in a Google Doc, not in the template, but use template sections as an inspiration for your copywriting. And back up all of the pages and all of the sections for yourself. So let's say I'm going to go into pages and I can just duplicate all of these pages and save them into an archive. Alternatively, I can also save all of them into favorites. So I'm going to save this section into favorites and then I can just bring it back anytime I need it from my saved sections menu. In a nutshell, your photography and your colors are more important for redesigning your template than everything else, because you can keep the fonts and you can tweak the fonts just slightly. So your job is to curate a really cohesive collection of images and pick the colors that work with the template's logic. Let me show you an example of where I completely redesigned the Fidelity template. We used it as a starting point with the colors that actually don't fit the logic, but we kept the layouts and made use of the template in this way. This is the website for Steven Henmer. He is a therapist in New York City, and this is also a Fidelity template. The hero screen is more original than the Fidelity template's original screen, and then we also added some custom sections here using the template's components. For example, you can see all these like rounded corners are what's used in the original template. So internal pages are more like the template. So we have this header and we have the header, the internal copy sections. We made use of this repetition of lines and rounded corners. And as you can see, we are using our highlight color is this orange color, our neutral color is this pale blue color, and our dark neutral color is this dark blue. We also went back and forth on multiple variations of this before we landed on this nice orange color. As you can see, it has the contrast where we can overlay light on it, like light text, so we're using it for buttons. It also goes really well with this black highlight, blue color, and we can use it on top of, it's also visible on top of white. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. First of all, it has like enough contrast for white to be overlay on it. It's light enough to be used on the blue. So your highlight color needs to like serve multiple purposes. So we'll use it in your buttons, you will use it in some copy, and you will use it as highlights. And the website is very clean, organized. There's high contrast, it's very readable. The paragraph font is different. The headline font is also different, but the logic is the same. So these are completely similar sizes of all fonts. And this was a really streamlined and fast process, so it took us several days to do that, like up to a week. I hope this video inspires you to build your website using a template. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments.